Hello everyone, for those who don't know me, my name is Piers Thurston and I'm part of the crew for Raam this year, and the area that I support in is around mindset and state of mind. So I've been working with some of the riders one-on-one to help them understand how they can get the very best out of themselves, how they can go to their potential and even beyond from an emotional and mental perspective. And not only get the best performance out of themselves, but also to do it in a way that they enjoy, and then look back on this adventure and think it's something that not only was a challenge, but was something they really had fun with, and it wasn't too stressful. And I had a little chat with John, and we thought it might be an idea to include all of you, all of the crew, in some of the things that I talk about and help people with. So I've created this little video just for a few minutes to pose a few questions to you, to give you some things to think about. And if you're interested, I'm going to invite you to come along on a webinar, which is an online event where we all get together via our computers or our tablets or our phones, maybe for half an hour or an hour, and we talk about some things together. We ask ourselves a few questions and we start to have the conversation. Now I'm based in London, so that's why it'd be a webinar, but I will be there in June in the US as well. So the question I thought I would just put out there is, what makes a crew world class? What makes a team really, really perform? What are some of the things that can get in the way of a crew performing? Now, whether you're looking at the guys in Formula One who will change, 4 tyres in 3 seconds, or those guys that sit on those yachts as they race around the world in really tough conditions, what is it that they've got going on? Now, this is how it looks to me. There's an element of technical ability. So whether you're a mechanic or a nutritionist or a navigator or whatever, there's an element of that technical ability. Now, that's not really what I do. I can't help you be a better mechanic. I can hardly do it myself. So I'm certainly not going to be able to help you technically. But what I can point you to is some of the things that can help us be in a better state of mind or a better mindset. And that's particularly relevant when you're in a situation with lots of unknowns, some things that are going to possibly be a bit different to normal, like we're going to be up at weird hours, we're going to be tired, there's going to be things happening that we didn't really know were happening, the unknowns, the pressures. A few people might get a bit cranky, and then that sets off a few more people being a bit cranky. So what can we do about that? How can we try to be as flexible, resilient, creative, and take things as they come, rather than getting bogged down in ourselves as we get tireder and we get a bit more pressured? So that's the element, I think, that if you look at what fantastic teams have, that they're also very good at. So it's not just the technical side, but they're also good at working in their own, what they might call emotional intelligence or state of mind. Now, here's the question for you then. If that bit is important, that state of mind piece is important, what determines it? Is it fixed, i.e. are some people really good at it and some people not? Does it depend on the severity of the circumstances and the situation? So you can hold it together for a certain set of events, but actually if it goes past that, then it all falls apart. Is it to do with something else? Is it to do with your level of motivation, or what is it? What's the actual thing that determines where we are in our state of mind in the moment? Now, what I want to pose to you, and this is something we would discuss further on the webinar, is that there's only really one thing that we have to look at to see what is going on for our state of mind. There's only really one variable, and it's not what we often think it is. It's nothing to do with the event or circumstances. So often people think that depending on what's going on in the outside world, the level of pressure or stress in the external situation, then that determines how we're going to respond to it. So there's a sort of a link between how bad it is or how good it is and how we're going to be. Now, I want you just to have a look at something which is the opposite of that, is that it's actually us individually that are creating that external event and circumstance. So I'll say that again a little differently, is that the only way that we can experience the outside world at any moment, at any time, and this is for anyone, is through our own thought. I.e., if we're not thinking it and not having thought about it, it's not happening for us. Even if it does actually exist in the outside world, we don't have any experience of it. Now, what that means is that we have massive amounts of freedom psychologically to respond to anything in any way. Now, I realise as I'm saying this, you might think I'm a bit mad, or you might think, well, it doesn't really look like that to me, because sometimes when it gets tough in the outside world, I feel rubbish. Now, that is the illusion we can fall into, and a lot of people do. But all I want you to do is to have a look to see whether that's actually true, or whether there's been times when you've been able to actually be very resourceful, very resilient, very creative in the toughest of circumstances. And there's probably been times when you haven't been those things and the situation hasn't been that bad. So that points to the idea that it's us. Now, I'm not going to go on any further now, but I want you just to ask yourself the question, what do I think determines my state of mind in the moment? Do I think it's the outside world? Do I think it's me? Or do I think it's a mixture of both? So there's three options. It's either all the outside world, it's all me, or it's a mixture of both. And if you're interested in that question, because it has all sorts of implications for life, and not just for Raam, then come along on the webinar and we'll talk more about it. Okay, thanks for now. See you later.